I've been working my baking business now for 18 years, and I can honestly say the one thing that has kept me going at age 75 is this: maintaining good health. Good health is honestly the most important concern as we get older because, without good health, we're so limited to what we can do. It keeps us independent, it gives us a better quality of life, and it keeps us happy. And many of you might be thinking, oh, I'm too old. It's too late now to start something new. It doesn't really matter anymore. You'd be wrong. Hi everyone, my name is Susan, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things related to getting older and navigating life as we get older. So welcome. So are you retired? Well, if you are, now you have the time. You can't blame it anymore on lack of time because you're too busy with work to eat correctly. No more excuses. You can plan your healthy meals and you can start an exercise routine. And when I'm talking health, I'm talking about basically three aspects of health. You have your physical health, you have mental health, and you have your emotional health. So let's start with our physical health, and we'll talk nutrition. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, stop. Processed foods can be breads, store-bought breads, cereals, soda, juice, chips, and deli meats. These are all really bad for us to eat. They contain too much salt, too much sodium, too much sugar, and they're just really unhealthy. They have unhealthy fats, oils, things like that. We really need to cut these out of our diet. We have to learn to eat lean protein, like chicken and fish, eggs, legumes such as lentils and chickpeas are great. Dark leafy vegetables like spinach and kale, things like that. We really need to incorporate these in our diet. I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that we are told we need to eat more protein as we get older, and this is true. We also need to combine it with maintaining our muscle mass and doing resistance training. A 150-pound woman should consume about 70 to 80 grams of protein a day, and you can spread it out. If you eat the 3 meals a day, you could have like 20-25 grams for each meal. It is doable. It's not difficult, but you have to know how much protein is in food and how much you're getting with each serving. So you kind of have to keep track of it a little bit. After a while, if you do this for long enough, you do kind of get to know how much protein you're eating with each meal. We also need protein because as we age, our muscle declines. It actually starts to decline at age 40. But protein really does help keep our bodies stronger, and we need that to be able to do even simple tasks like carrying groceries into the house or picking up something heavy. And eating protein also helps keep us fuller longer, so we're not going for those unhealthy snacks in between meals. And it helps with our bones, it helps protect our bones. And for me, eating extra protein is really important because I have my baking business. I'm carrying really heavy bags of flour and sugar, and I'm carrying racks that are heavy from the oven, to the cooling rack. And with all of this heavy lifting, it's really important for me and for you to maintain enough protein in your diet. Okay, so next is sugar. Sugar is in everything, and we need to read labels so that we know how much sugar is in everything. So your label, I've heard some people refer to labels as warning labels, and that's a great way to put it because the label will show everything, how much sodium is in a can of whatever, beans, peas, corn, a can of soup, for example. So you need to read the label so you know you're not consuming too much sugar or salt. And I'm going to read what the American Heart Association says, which is, women should consume no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day, and men 36 grams. And don't forget, sugar goes by a lot of different names. It goes by agave, barley malt, cane sugar, corn syrup, dextrose, honey, fruit juice, sucrose, molasses, syrup, and of course, processed foods and carbs, carbohydrates also have sugar in them, so don't forget about that. Another thing you want to think about is your first meal of the day, which is very important to not have anything sweet the first meal that you have of the day. Now, if you're doing intermittent fasting, your first meal might be noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you're just getting out of bed and you have your breakfast first, make sure you don't have anything that's sugary sweet. Don't have cereals or anything, pancakes with syrup or waffles or anything like that. You need to start your day with a savory breakfast, which can be eggs and maybe avocado and, you know, even some meats, of course. You can have some lean meats with your breakfast. You can make an omelet, you can have Greek yogurt with some fresh fruit and nuts on it. Anything like this is fine for breakfast, because what you want to avoid is the sugar spikes. Because if your sugar spikes way up, it's only going to come crashing down, and that's going to make you lethargic and tired, and it's going to make you hungry a lot sooner. They also say that having sugar, if you really want something sweet, what you should do is have your meal first and then have your dessert after your meal. But don't just have the sweet by itself on its own, especially during snack time, because again, it will spike your sugar level. I've been off sugar now for about 3 weeks, a good 3 weeks. It may even be a month by now. And I know it sounds kind of funny. I have a baking business and I'm off sugar, and some people might think that sounds ridiculous, that you're talking about how bad sugar is for you, and yet you're baking sweets. But the truth is, what I bake is supposed to be a treat, and it shouldn't be something you eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner solely. You know, it's a treat that you have after a meal, and that's it. And if you eat a little bit of a sweet, it's really not a terrible thing. Just don't go crazy with it. That's basically it. So I've been off the sugar for about 3 weeks, and I feel less tired. I've lost a few pounds, and I'm doing this because it's healthier for me, and that's really the main reason. So the only sugar I've consumed is fresh fruit, which is of course not a refined sugar, so that's fine. And what else? A little bit of sugar that may have sneaked into something that I've made or that I'm not aware of. But so I think it's been helpful for me. You'll definitely lose weight when you stop eating sugar. It's really a healthy thing to do, and so I encourage you to give it a try. Give it a try for a week or two and see how you feel. I bet you feel better. I know you'll feel better. You'll probably sleep better too. I have started sleeping better, so that's a positive. So for mental health, sleep is the number one, I would say, for mental health. Sleeping is very important to our mental health because it improves our overall health and our general well-being. And during sleep, our brains remove toxins, and it helps maintain cognitive function, and it allows our brain to repair and recover. When we don't get enough sleep, we can have mood swings, we can be irritable, and it can even lead to depression and anxiety. So sleep all around is just great, and we need to get more of it. Try to maintain a routine with sleep. Try to go to sleep at the same time at night and get up at the same time in the morning. And then secondly, with our mental health, we go through a lot of changes. You know, as we get older, our lives start to change and things come up, such as, do we stay in our big house by ourselves? Or if you're married, do the two of you stay in this big house after you've raised your children? Or do you want to downsize and move to a smaller home? And if so, you know what's coming next. Clutter. You've got to get rid of all that clutter and you've got to figure out how to box everything up. Do you sell it? Do you donate it? Do you hope your children will want it? You know, all of these changes are part of getting older and the next stages of our life. And mental health, of course, involves a lot of emotion, and it allows us to help to be creative and to be happy and more joyful and find peace. So maintaining our mental health is really very important to us. And lastly is emotional health. And the first thing that comes to mind with emotional health as we get older is loneliness. And you know, loneliness it can almost be debilitating. It hits people in different ways, but it's very unhealthy to feel lonely. You can be alone and be fine, but if you feel lonely as you get older, it's really so unhealthy. You have to find ways to either connect with people, you know, you've heard it before, join groups, join workshops, get out and just find ways to be with people if you're feeling lonely. Maybe you can find a support group, you know, search around for things like that because it'll make you feel so much better when you get out and you're with people. But it's part of emotional health, and your emotional well-being is very important. All of these three things really tie in together to give you a happier and healthier older life. And it can be either empowering or it can be scary. It can overwhelm you and make you frightened and scared. But you want to be in control. I think that's the most empowering feeling that we can have as we get older. If we can maintain our health, if we can remain physically active, we'll be independent. And if we're independent, then we don't have to rely so much on other people to help us out. And that's why I think having these three aspects of health really work together, and they help to allow us to have a happier and healthier life as we get older. So I hope these ideas have helped you and given you some ideas on maybe a path toward healthier eating and a healthier lifestyle. And so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.